Morning.
Hello. Hi. Okay. We did some work for Hello Sunday Morning, which is a non-for-profit organization that helps people with problems with alcohol. We had a quite big team of 10 people, so it was a challenge also to split the work on so many different people with different skills. I think we did a good work. We had some challenges. I'll discuss some of those, and hopefully we'll find some directions that we can help the non-for-profit for next steps. So, if you're not familiar with Hello Sunday Morning, they offer a website and also some web apps. Some apps, mobile apps, where people that have drinking issues can connect to each other and discuss their issues and hopefully help each other to get away from alcohol and all these problems that comes with it. So they offer this website that looks something like this. It's pretty much a forum, so people can discuss. So they can post blog posts. They can have followers. They can comment on other people. They can like stuff. So it's a mixture between Twitter, Facebook. Basically, it's an live online community. So Alex was very kind to offer to us all the kind of data that come in this website, which means that we have pretty much access to everything. So we focused mostly on posts, so what people blog about, comments, how they reply to other people, likes, what they click on, what things they like, and the followers they had. Some of the questions that we had, the challenges is as a new user, for example, or as a user of this service, what should I read and what should I follow, which people should I follow? The challenge here is that it doesn't make sense to follow the most popular ones, probably. So what you're really after are people who are very similar to you. They have the same challenges. So if you're probably, I don't know, an 18 years old guy, probably you don't want to follow some 60 years old people. They have to discuss a different language, they discuss different kind of issues, they have family issues, they have totally different landscapes. If you start following those people, probably it doesn't help you very much for your issues, right? And vice versa. So, in general, we try to tackle these kind of challenges. That was the initial plan, at least. So, offer some suggestions or some ways to suggest what kind of people you should follow, what kind of content should be advertised to specific people to make some personalization content to people. And also what kind of factors affects user behavior, right? So we know that people will leave the website quite soon, as we see. So what makes them leave, right? If they find relevant content that people relevant to themselves, probably they find some value and they should stay, right? But they don't sometimes, so what's going on? After some thinking, we discussed with the team and we ended up with this plan that probably we need to take into account detection information of what people discuss. So we know that the non-profit organization has already done some work on the metadata of these things on their websites. So they already have analyzed how often people comment to other people, how many times they blog, how many the probabilities of leaving if you don't post frequently enough, and all these kind of things. But as far as I understand, they didn't really tap into the actual text, what people discuss, what they talk about, right? So we tried to go in that direction, although there were other low-hanging fruits all over the place, but we tried to push in that direction. And that would help us probably to start linking people to each other based on not maybe how many followers they have or how many likes they attend or one of the popular or more influential people, but maybe if they discuss about family issues all the time, if they discuss about beer all the time, or whiskey, or problems with their work, or something like that, right? So we try to link users together based on what they care about, what they discuss, not necessarily by how many followers they have or how many comments they receive. So spend some time on getting some data, some descriptors, some features. We had all the usual stuff that you can find in online forums, like posts, likes, comments, the gender of people. This is something that people give us for free when they sign up. The country they're from. But then we've spent a majority of yesterday time to actually extract stuff like this, which is sentiment. So sentiment, for example, which is like if I'm giving a positive feedback, I give positive stuff to people, or negative feedback, negative stuff to people. Emotions, the stuff that I discuss are they about joy, anger, sadness, fear, surprise, disgust. Maybe if you're a happy person, you don't really want to start discussing with people who have a very negative perspective of life, right? Then we try to extract also stuff around severity of issues. So how serious are your issues? Maybe you don't want to discuss with somebody who has so serious problems. Maybe your problems are not so difficult, right? Maybe you get disappointed, you get fear, you leave the forum, right? Work-related stuff, family, alcohol, time, smoking, and other keywords of business. We tried many things. Some things work, some didn't. So from data processing point of view, we did a lot for pre-processing, like cleaning up the data, removing non-English, non-HTML, missing cleaning up the misformatted data. The basic, I think, work was this part here, which was define some dictionaries, define some stuff that relate to some concept, some topic. For example, family, words related to families, stuff like mother, father, daughter, son, family, all these kind of things, or even stuff like divorce, married, wife, husband. And then if you start playing this game and finding out how many people discuss these things, you soon discover that there are many. You discover soon that a lot of words do not really make sense. For example, I did the work-related issues and had to filter out a lot of misuses of that word. So, for example, people say, "Good work, go on. I mean, you can do it." Okay, good work is not in the context of work-related issues, right? So we had a lot of rules of what should we include and many rules of what we should exclude later. So if you make a lot of iterations of this thing, you end up to something cleaner. The more time you spend, the more cleaner it becomes. When you run out of time, you stop. So this is a dictionary we used, for example, for fear, to detect fear. Some of this stuff, like sentiment or emotions, are quite common. I mean, you just Google about it and you find dictionaries like this. What people miss most of the time is that they can build their own dictionaries for stuff that are specific for the problem. Like, for example, for us, specific was alcohol-related issues, family-related issues, work-related issues, all these kind of things. So we compiled some of these dictionaries, maybe small dictionary because we had a lot of time. Nevertheless, some things came out. So let's see some of those things. So for the beginning, we did some basic stuff like when I say we, it's obviously some of the people in my team don't claim any English, just get credit. So we measure, for example, a number of posts per gender. Okay, as you can see that both males and females are active. Maybe females a bit more, but okay. Age, so we know the age of people based on what they give on in the beginning. We know that the higher percentage is around 35 to 50. And we also can get country of origin, like if they are from Australia or United Kingdom, which are the most of them frequent countries that appear. And then we can do even more stuff. All these are segmentations that can be used later on to get more insights for specific segments. Okay. So some of these stuff, most more advanced stuff that we did was the RFM model. It's based on recency, frequency, and monetary value of users. Monetary in this case is how often they comment, post, like, or check in. And the idea is trying to identify how the value they offer, what's the probability of the user to be high valuable or not. So we see that the majority of people are not really highly valuable. So, and this is something that we try to fix, obviously. So we try to move this towards higher probability. Another issue with score is that a lot of these actions, as time goes by, the number of interactions that people have with the website does not increase really fast. So probably we need to personalize content a bit more. So that's another motivation, I think. So you can see, for example, that after 20 weeks, going from 10 weeks to 20, the number of contents that you like or discuss at around 2 or 3 numbers, so it's not that much. And then there are some stuff that was not in the original data, but we needed some text analysis to get out. For example, the alcohol, the type of alcohol you consume. We tried few keywords, but obviously if you want to spend some more time on it, you can expand this dictionary way more. And you can see that most people in the data set we had in Hans discuss about beer and about wine. So then we could make breakdowns as discussed before. So I said before that we have countries, so then maybe make, for example, a breakdown by country, the alcohol type that they consume. So we can see there, for example, that New Zealand consumes a lot of wines, and maybe the second is beer. So if you're from New Zealand, probably this is the kind of things that we should start discussing with you, and maybe less if you're from Singapore. Okay? So this gives some insights, I think, on how to start personalized content in some directions. It starts to make more sense. And the good thing about this, yes, of course, in the beginning we can ask people, okay, 100 questions, just tell us everything about you, but that doesn't work, right? I mean, after 5 questions, people get booked and they close the browser or they, stop answering. So this is the good thing. We let them post stuff, and from the stuff that they post, we can extract this kind of information automatically. And then we did other stuff like sentiment, positive and negative sentiment per gender. So you can see here that both genders probably overlap quite well, so it's similar in the sense of if they post positive stuff or negative stuff, so no reason there to discriminate and say, okay, we're connecting more with females because of this or more with males. Of course, it makes sense maybe to break it down a bit more by country and maybe by type of interactions like males to females, males to females, females to females. But nevertheless, sentiment-wise, for example, it's quite balanced. I'm not sure what happens if we then segment by alcohol type, for example, or by age group. But this is things that we will try out. So finding patterns like this can be a bit time consuming. So one way to find patterns easily is doing something like that. So you get all the factors you care about, and you start to measure correlations between things, and maybe you start discovering patterns there. So here we have all the different aspects we explore. Actually, it's not all, it's a subset. So I invite Alex then to play with this and expand it a bit more because we have many more things. But you can find some small stuff all over the place, like for example, that people who follow others, they also have a lot of followers. This came out there. So diagonal means high probability, high correlation, sorry. The red ones means to negative correlation. The more you use something, the less probability you have. And you can find some interesting patterns, like when consumption is well related to the severity of the posts that you make. We didn't spend a lot of time normalizing and cleaning up, so obviously some cleaning up needs to be done, but maybe it's some direction that we could get from that. And that was also one, like a sentiment and relationship segment, how many followers you have and how many followers you attract. I think this is the direction that things should go. So, build more dictionaries. I think this is the takeaway. Focus more on specific things that you care about, and then start exploring how these things relate to each other to find more big patterns of how people behave and what they like. And that will be all. Thank you.
Can I just add on something?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So he has pretty much covered everything. We do have something doesn't included yet. So what I have covered that's not covered here is I did an analysis on relationship and using that and how happy they are based on the semantics to predict how engaged they will after a while. So from the knowledge we have so far is that's the knowledge we've been told is after 1 week or two, people start to lose the individualistic. So what I think might be important to kind of predict how likely you are going to take another survey. So when you take a survey, it means you engaged. So what I do is I take a lot of data, say how happy you are, and what's your gender, and what's your age, and potentially you can have a lot of other information as well. And what I use is I use a classifier to predict whether you would take a survey or not. Sorry, I think I'm going to faint. And then in this way, you would predict to whether this guy stay or not. Then you could potentially target those people. And also those people who you actually correctly predict will give you insight on whether you choose him or her as an ambassador in the next phase. So, and also we look at, who are the rock stars in the crowd. So those are also important for you to identify whether they can be used in either you have a campaign on someone, so he's popular and he's more likely to kind of bring more positive insight to everyone else. So we think that's important too.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do I get that?
Oh, I have a presentation again to him, but we don't have the time to get that yet. But I think I can give you the model. At the moment, I only have limited feature extracted, but we have all the information already. So I didn't have enough time to predict, but I assume the model should be easily just replicated.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.